Hi, my name is Sarah Glassmeyer, and I'm the Director for Data Curation at Legal Tech Hub. I'm joined today by Chan, who is the co-founder of Fileread, and we are going to get a little bit of the background of Fileread and see a product demo. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did Fileread get started?
Yeah, so we started off as like an experiment back in 2020 when Google had just released their first ever Transformers model based on a paper that started it all, Attention is All You Need. And as we were exploring, I got in touch with one of my friends who's a partner at a plaintiff's firm, and he said, "Hey, what you guys are working on could be very useful for delegation context." And as we dug a little bit deeper, we found that, yeah, there definitely is an unmet need here. And based on our experiments with the earliest versions of these large language models, we learned that there's something here that could really make an impact. And yeah, for both me and my co-founder, then we saw that this is going to change the world and we wanted to be part of that change somehow.
Oh, nice.
And yeah,
So what problems does Fileread solve, and how are people using it every day?
yeah. So really the main problem is, for example, data is doubling every 3 years. And the way that people are managing how to organize and effectively make decisions on their data has stayed roughly the same. And so already the problem is outpacing the solutions that are out there. And we thought, okay, in order to really solve this problem, you have to apply technology in some shape or form. And so we found through our kind of our interviews and experiments that we've run, we learned that attorneys consistently struggled with just the tools that they had today, especially because they relied on more of the manual type of review as well as using the more rudimentary, I guess, keyword searches. They're still very useful, but if that's the only tool that you have, you're going to struggle if you have a document set of potentially millions. And so versus AI can really help you find the most pinpoint piece of information if you design it properly. And so we identified there was a clear market gap here, that the litigation workflows are tedious, manual, research training, and we wanted to bridge the gap there by solving this problem with AI based on the things that we were able to prove.
Cool. So who is the target demographic? What is it, like a specific size firm, large firm, small firm, any firm, corporate?
So we'd say typically firms that handle complex litigation, typically there's large volumes of documents. We have our tool is a plugin integrated into Relativity. We do also recently launched our standalone platform, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But typically the folks that use these types of tools deal with large volumes of data, complex matters, lots of people, lots of different data types as well. And so they need a tool that can help bridge the gap and help them understand both on a high level what's going on in their case, as well as if they're trying to now kind of have a specific collection of documents where they know that these are the most responsive, they want to be able to build reports, help them build work product, and use to find the most data points in order to prove their case.
So at some point when I first started doing it, the question was like, do you use Gen AI, yes or no? And now people are a little bit more sophisticated. They kind of want to know a little bit more, like besides yes, no. So but still we'll keep it very general. So what models are you using? Do you have a homegrown version of a model, or is it like a mix and match? How is Gen AI being used?
Yeah, so the way that our tool works at the moment is like a ChatGPT experience on top of their case documents with citations back to where the answers may have come from. And so how that works is we use an ensemble of models. We don't just use one, but we also employ a range of techniques in order to make sure that the documents are processed, normalized, and understood well by the models themselves. So as part of the retrieval augmented generation flow, there's embeddings models that we use from OpenAI through Azure, as well as our own homegrown citations engine in order to now fact check the models as they come out with their responses. Because Gen AI, as we know it, we've seen so many news stories. I'm just so surprised that they're still coming out, that people are using it for like case research and where hallucinations make up some of the cases and they're getting sanctioned for that. And so to be clear, hallucinations are a feature of large language models. They're meant to be creative, but there are ways to really guide the model and ground it in the truth. And we have our own set of techniques in order to do that.
Cool. So before we get into the demo, which I'm really excited about, what makes Fileread different than anyone else? What is the kind of special sauce? What makes it? Why should someone check it out? What makes you different than your competitors?
Yeah, so we work only on proprietary data. So we think of ourselves as the legal data intelligence layer. And what we're trying to do there is really trying to build into those key workflows that people need these types of tools for, or typically things that they do very manually, but it's very tedious. And so in the litigation context, we have a plugin into relativity that works really well, especially because people use relativity for a specific purpose. So that already gets them understood on, oh yeah, like keyword searching, manual review, it sucks. I mean, like it sucks for a while and no one likes doing it, but it's got to be done because yeah, that's the way that everyone has been doing it in order to understand the documents and help them craft their case strategy there. Versus now with AI, they can actually use it to really prove or disprove certain theories that they have about the case earlier than they would have had before they had to go through this entire document set. So that unlocks a new set of different case strategies, as well as we like to work very closely with our customers. And so I used to say prompt engineering was a language of the future, but now I'm kind of walking back on that statement where no one wants to be a prompt engineer. That's just the exact same thing as, casting complex Boolean searches. You want to be able to, you want the model to be able to understand what your intent is and have it really, for example, if you want to collect a set of documents, identify the right piece of metadata, right piece of keywords to collect all those so that you can do what you need with it. Or if you're trying to build, for example, like a chronology, it should just be able to grab the relevant piece of information wherever you might have it, and then format it in such a way that you can actually use it potentially to copy and paste it into a work product. Not viable, I think. Yeah, I think we're a little bit ways away from that. But I think the pieces of it are there that people can start to see, oh, wait, I can start to use these things as artifacts for my legal briefings or for my legal memos.
I was gonna say just about the Boolean. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's so Boolean, which is why I loved it. But I'm a nerd and I'm a librarian, and that's the librarian joke is librarians like to search, everyone else likes to find. So I think you're very right that it did seem that prompt engineering was a job of the future. Yeah, it turns out actually no one wants to be a prompt engineer because they would have been a librarian.
Exactly.
They want to be a lawyer.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just another tool to help you do the task that you need. And if it doesn't do that, then it's not a useful tool. So I think we're really trying to focus on how do we make this the most useful tool where if you take it away, they're like, oh no, I can't do my work anymore. Kind of like that Google-like search experience for a case documents. All right, so this is Fileread and relativity. I'm going to go into our platform a little bit later because it's a different use case slightly, but we like to call ourselves we're the legal data intelligence layer. So what that means is how do we help you find the facts fast on what you're looking for so that you can make decisions on your data quickly. So in this case, we have relativity. This is the McKinsey opioid documents. Everyone loves using the Enron, Jeb Bush documents. We don't. We wanted to use a kind of a fresher data set that people sort of knew what the case is about, but more confident large language models haven't seen this before. They might have at this point because OpenAI and those large language providers have teams of people find data sets to train on, but at the very least, this is a more fresh data set that people can see and play with. Yeah. And so we have about 105,000 documents in here, not a very sizable data set in our workspaces. I think this may be on the average size. We are on a case that has like 8.5 million documents, which is on the larger side. But how Fileread works is, first you have to select a set of documents that you want to point Fileread to. And so what that means is I want Fileread to be able to consider this set of documents. In this case, we index the entire workspace, kind of like you would create a DT search index, for example.
Okay.
And every thing you see here on the left is what we call a topic. A topic is pointed at a specific set of documents. It can be pointed at your entire document universe, or it can be pointed at a specific subset of documents, like a saved search, for example.
So was this outline, did you tell what it to look for? Did it it automatically created the outline and it found the topics? It did the topic modeling and found.
No, so people have to create this. So actually, that's a great point. We're actually working on more of the automated aspects of this as well, because I think one of the things that we've realized is there's this blank page problem that people still have, especially with large language models. You're like, how do I get started? Like, how do I even know what to even ask for? And I think we're starting to work on one of our next releases is going to include a way to, for example, complaint in a case is going to have a lot of rich information that you can get kickstarted on. It's not going to be perfect because you might be looking for specific things that aren't in the complaint, but at the very least, it can get you kickstarted on getting familiar with the document in the case because you have the causes of action, the allegations. You can use that to compare against the documents that you have collected, whether that be internal or external. And so some of the ways that you can get started is we actually didn't realize this particular use case was actually going to be useful, but people found a use for it because they use ChatGPT as like an assistant. But in this case, it's like, yeah, for example, if you have the documents in your workspace, how about helping me craft search terms? We all love keyword searches, and we just can't live without them. And so this is a way to really get kickstarted, and one of the ways to really get kickstarted in terms of give me the search terms to find key documents. And so as you can see, there's like suspicious within 2 words of order. We also allow it to be provide explanation. So the tool is pretty flexible in terms of how it displays the information. And these green letters you see are what we call annotations.
Okay.
We used to call them citations, but I think annotations is just a better term for it because citations has a slightly different connotation, especially in legal. And clicking into it, you can see why it picked that answer. Just give me a second here. It should highlight. There we go. Yes, suspicious order monitoring program. So it's clearly just stuff in the document referencing the SOM and things like that.
Okay.
So that's one use case. One is like, for example, things that would be difficult to find, for example, with keywords is, let me say, like deletion of data or spoliation, right? So now let's say we want to find, so we've asked this question before. Oh, documents. They can actually find previously on here. So I mentioned that it's pretty good at the high level aspects, but it's also very good at the more pinpoint aspects as well, especially when you're trying to find very specific examples. And so in this case, you have, are there any documents that contradict Arnav Katak, who's a partner at McKinsey? Claimant made a deposition that he had no knowledge regarding the deletion of documents. Now, if you're going to try to find a keyword search for this, good luck. You're going to be looking for delete, purge, exfiltrate, whatever, all the types of synonyms, and you're going to be left with potentially millions or hundreds of thousands of documents in order to find that one document. Versus here, you can just ask one question and you can just say, all right, wait a second. He said, not yet, probably deleted. What does that mean? Now, that unlocks a couple of other actions that a potential litigator can make. It's like, what did you delete? I need to go and issue a motion to compel to get these documents from them as well. Because clearly something was deleted. It might be important, it might not, but I want to know what that might be. And he clearly contradicted himself in that sense. So yeah, there you go.
Nice.
I got deleted. Let's see. So we also recently launched what we call deep search. And one of the problems that we're trying to solve in the context is with tools like ChatGPT, the problem that we face is that there's a limitation to the context window, meaning if you're just looking only at the semantic meaning of the documents, there is a hard limit of how much you can actually fill in and how many documents you can actually show. What our deep search agent does, it basically takes your question, decomposes it into 3 different search strategies. So it's going to use DT search, it's going to look at metadata, and it's also going to look at semantic. And it's going to try to coalesce those results and put it into a response that's a lot more comprehensive. And at each step, you can actually see, in this case, it's going to build a plan. It's going to identify which documents cite OxyContin addiction risk in this case. It's going to try to filter those documents if it feels that it's collected a large enough sample. And then it's going to try to narrow it down. For example, communication is going to be looking for emails. It's going to be looking for text messages, Slack messages, Teams messages, things like that. And so, yeah, so we look at each stage. The AI model looks at, Fileread looks at about 1,000 results because, like I said, there's still a limit. But if you want to see what search terms were crafted, you can actually go in here. There's about 4,000 documents in here. You can even like click into it and see, wait, what search terms did it use? And so for people who hate crafting Boolean search terms, this is potentially a very useful tool in at least getting started. It's not going to be perfect. Sure. Yeah, no tool is perfect, but it's actually very good, I think, at helping you be creative, because this is where it's actually good to be creative on. I want you to expand this keyword search terms into different things that I may have not thought about, but might be in these documents. And so use that, build me a search, and then I can look at these documents and batch these out however I need to.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things, like unless you do searching like in that way a lot, you just can't. Like it's, I mean, I would tell my students, like they would be so impressed when I would do a big Boolean search string on Westlaw. It's like, well, one thing, I've done this for several years, and also I have a master's degree in this. Like you shouldn't feel bad if you're not like thinking this way. It's definitely
right.
a different
Right.
thought process. So it's great that you give someone like a little bit of a boost in helping them. Like, oh, okay, now I see a model of how I should do that and that, but I want to add that term or take that one out. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then here, yeah, you can basically these are the communications that were here. So we still provide a response with citation with annotations back to the case documents. So this one is how do we help you go broader if you need to, but also give you the pinpoint answers where it's necessary. This is
Yeah.
our first attempt. People are using it. It's pretty interesting on how they're figuring out how to use this. But this I would say is more useful for generating lists if you need broader sets, if you need more comprehensive sets of documents. If you need more pinpoint answers, we recommend using the insights chat. But we are going to be looking to unify this entire experience because we don't want to even think about that. It's like just ask what you're looking for, and it'll smartly route it to the right piece of technology. Are you looking for collections of documents? We're going to help you generate and craft the collection logic so that you can actually see like a giant list of documents, for example.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a pretty good use case, I think. Highlights of use cases that are on here. This is a deep search one. So fact memos and chronologies. So as you can see here, this is one of our ways to help guide the user in not having to craft really complex queries because yeah, you don't want to be sitting there and just figuring out how to write these types of things. Obviously, the
Yeah.
more information and context you provide Fileread, the better it should perform. But regardless, I think if you just want quick answers but more comprehensiveness, you can actually click on Fact Memo, and these are internal prompts that we've developed in order to structure the outputs in a certain way and force it to really think a little bit deeper about the question and the information that they discover from those documents. It's provided like this. So people tend to use this a lot, especially if they don't really know much about a subject and they want to dive a little bit deeper. They can do that. And then same thing with chronology. We wanted to create a chronology between key detailed conversation and communications between McKinsey and Purdue pertaining to board level strategy, read Oxy.
I think one of those favorite use cases is like the chronology that I've seen for LLMs and generative AI. That it just because it's like hard, but not it's just annoying to make it. Like you can do it in person, but it takes so much time. And then, like I love it. It's just like this is one of the ones where I'm like that's magic. That it just you can pull those dates, put it in order, give you it's just something that's not impossible to do as a human, but it's just so annoying to do as a human.
It's
And
just
like, why
annoying.
not just turn that over to a robot? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I want to be clear is that this is not meant to be exhaustive. I think there's other tools that can help you do that, like if you need that. But this is more helpful because we've heard both sides of the both opinions. For example, some people want extreme detail. I don't want you to miss anything. We're not quite there in terms of like if you want a more high level. If it's like because sometimes like if you're in trial, you don't want like a 300 page or 300 row chronology. It's like you can't read all of that and it makes sense of it during trial. So a tool like this is actually much more useful in that context. We've actually had case teams use it during arbitration to fact check live, especially when they knew someone was lying and they were able to use our tool to basically say, hey, they're lying. We're not going to say anything right now, but we're going to use this information to object in a response.
I was wondering if that's very to ask that. Someone's using it at the table during litigation or during arbitration. That's cool. That's another one of these really great uses for this type of technology. Just because, again, when you have like piles of deposition information or discovery information that if you're questioning someone live, you can't remember it as a human, but you can have someone kind of double check things really quickly.
Exactly. It's like another, I would say, like librarian almost who knows the documents extremely well. And they're like, oh, I know where that is. I can go and grab it right now. Instead of having to keyword search and be like, wait, where is it? There's like so many document sets that I need to go through in order to find it. So
just tabs everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just good luck finding that. Another thing that it's pretty good at, this is a bit of a special use case. You have to actively opt in to try this one. So this is what we call multimodal capabilities. And what that does is basically scans the document itself to identify, are there any non-text things? I mean, there's text in it, but if you just OCR this, it's not going to be useful information because the position of these texts actually do matter a little bit. And if there are diagrams, you want to be able to understand what do these diagrams mean? Like if there's like a process flow diagram, especially if you work with like McKinsey, the consulting firm, they're likely to have a lot of consulting diagrams of like process flow charts. It's able to identify those and provide a description so that the AI can understand it and cite back to it if needed. So in this case, this is an org chart, and one of the key things is really understanding the cast of characters in a litigation. And so this is able to give you, all right, where are the org charts? Who are the people that are involved here? And so I just asked, like, hey, are there any org chart in the data? Answer is yes. Here it is. Here's exactly what it looks like.
Cool.
And then it can even answer some questions about it. It's not perfect, I would say. I mean, no tool is. But Ed Mahoney, who's the CFO, who does he report to and who reports to him? What are their titles? So we have, Ed Mahoney directly reports to Michael Friedman. That's right. He's a CEO. Reporting to Ed Mahoney are two senior directors, Ken Blum and Joey Loans. I think Ken Blum was a kind of a miss in terms of OCR, but you can actually go in and verify the answer. So even if the answer is,
I really appreciate how you're being very open. Like, it's not perfect, that there is things you need to double check. That's great. I mean, that's why I try to tell people it's not a perfect technology yet. We're still very much working out and figuring things out. So I really appreciate you being very open and clear about what it can and cannot do yet.
Yeah, I mean, no technology is perfect. I can't even like technology companies that like have billions of dollars or multi-billion-dollar companies. There are things that they just get wrong sometimes, and that's just the nature of technology. It's just the nature of life. It's just have to accept it, as long as you can go back and check and correct it before it becomes a problem. And so we try to provide as many tools to provide our users to do that.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's really cool at doing a lot of great things. So I think that's what's important here. Yeah, Sam Shum is the name, not Ken Blum, but I think it's just a miss OCR. There's no Sam Shum here, but it got Joey Loan, which is great.
Yeah.
So this is the deep dive on the relativity side of things. That's really where most of our users currently are right now, because we just launched platform recently. I'm going to jump a little bit into the platform now. And so where we're going with this is we're trying to be more of a fact development platform. So you can think of it as like, how do we start to focus on people that don't use relativity? How do we focus on folks that have complex matter that they need to documents that they need to interrogate, things that they need to do? What can they do with this type of tool? And so we have our classic document management system where you can upload documents, or you can upload a load file if you really need to. You can ask natural language questions. The structure is a little bit different. Here, we have a way of asking natural language questions like this. But there's what's really cool recently is what we launched called extractions. And what this enables you to do, so we have some examples here, is there's a couple templates that you can run off the bat. So you can run email extractions. So we've actually had to do this recently where a client said, hey, the other side is being annoying, and they gave us just a bunch of scanned emails instead of the actual raw documents. So now we need to go back and extract all of the key information so that they can now put it into a database that is structured. So these are the things that you can do. Extract the common things from an email. Complaint analysis. So this is going to start to power some of the things that I mentioned earlier regarding how do we provide the model with the right context so that we can solve essentially the blank page problem or the cold start problem. Similarly with court filings, key data from invoices. So if you work on bankruptcy matters, this can get very tedious and very annoying to do, and especially if you're trying to calculate damages or calculate how much did this person spend on, for example, in the year 2003, you have to have that information extracted somewhere so that you can now go and filter against those. And then obviously custom extractions. So this one allows you to, there's no fields obviously, but you can do things like, I need a source summary of every document. I need to be able to make decisions on whether or not this particular thing contradicted this, if this person's statement contradicted a statement that they made at depositions, things like that. So this is our first pass at this. I think we're going to start to think really heavily about how do we connect all of this information that's extracted together so that we can start to build more of a agentic workspace here. And so in this case, I just want a general summary. So this is a thing that was run. You can see get a general summary here. And we have citations obviously back to those documents themselves on where it got that information. And then complaint analysis, for example, apparently like paralegals do this manually at a lot of law firms, which is surprising to me because I thought they would already have this information somewhere, like well ordered. But yeah, apparently if they're getting sued and they got a complaint, they need a way to organize it somehow and use this information to prepare, for example, a review protocol or response. And so just really just being able to put this into a structured format is already very valuable because if you think about it, a complaint, if it's like a class action, it could have hundreds of plaintiffs and just good luck trying to extract all that manually. It's going to take hours.
Very nice.
So yeah, I think that's what we have in terms of the product demo. I think there's anything else. I'm not really sure. I don't think I've missed anything, but yeah, we wanted to build a tool that's powerful, pretty opinionated, but also very flexible enough to do the things that attorneys need because every case is bespoke and we want to make sure the tool is flexible enough to cover those use cases.
Well, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, just as a wrap up, again, my name is Sarah Glassmeyer. I am the Director of Data Curation at Legal Tech Hub, and I've been joined today by Chad from Fileread. And this has been a fascinating, a little words, litigation tools sometimes make me a little like, ooh, I don't understand what's going on.
Nervous?
But no, this is actually very good. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. Thanks for having me.